Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm John Peters. This week I took a short road trip up to Irvington, New Jersey to meet with Gary and Anthony of Real Antique Wood Sawmill. These are great guys, real hardworking guys who know a ton about reclaimed lumber, taking down the old barns, bringing in the beams full of nails and then running them through the mill, kiln drying, I mean you name it. They've been doing it and they know what they're talking about. So I had a lot of fun making this video and I hope you enjoyed the show.
So, I mean, yeah, these were some of the timbers that just came in. These came out of Dover. It was a Lackawanna train car factory. So, first step is obviously getting them here. Second step, which is the most important step, is them denailing this product. Without them pulling all the tacks and the cut nails and everything else in there, we're not able to really use that besides just a solid timber like it came in as. So, as you see, it's pretty labor intensive. Chisels,
cheese up,
yeah,
you know, but
chisels, wand, you know, metal detectors they use as the wand just to locate all the, you know, any sort of contaminants in the wood. And then they'll go, you know, they got to go through one by one. But I mean, even we'll lose a couple pieces. We still have to straight line rip it on the outside anyways in order to make it into flooring. So we're not so concerned about these. The unfortunate part is this face is pretty marred up, and same with the bottom side. This here is destined to be a repair job. It's going to be 1 1/8 inch thick flooring. So,
so the main tool there is your chisel, your metal detector,
yeah,
hammer, pair of pliers.
Main tool is this. Second tool, a lot of patience. That's really what it boils down to.
good eyes.
Good eyes and some patience just to make sure that everything, you know, because one of those nails, $50 like that gone for the resaw. So. It's unfortunate the face gets a little marred up, but you know, I mean, if you took that and multiply however many of those gouges are in that beam and multiply that times 50, you know, it's worth the guys pulling them. So that's pretty much it. It'll start, you know, start here, and then it goes to the far side of the shop. We can go down there. I'll show you the resaw. Just got a little Wood-Mizer HR 130, and that's when we get to do the fun part of cutting that open and see what it has inside for us.
Oh, you got anything on the side there that you can show them? Or?
Well, I mean, it's,
okay, there you
yeah,
go. Good.
This is one of the other timbers that came, same location. It's already denailed on the hydraulic hoist. That's due to be cut next.
When you cutting that?
Once they're finished up denailing that piece, this will actually cut it in half first just because of the size of the timber, just to make it a little bit more manageable.
Would you like to see it cut in half?
Sure.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Seems to be the.
Yeah. We'll make that happen. So we'll get cut in half, and then we'll reset the saw just to, you know, 4/4 thickness, just so that we can just keep on passing the pieces through until, you know, until there's nothing left.
So these are the timber once, because it's 1 inch thick, right? You make it a little heavy on an inch, but this is kind of the heart pine. Beautiful timber, beautiful grain. The knots are awesome, but you know, we've got them up to what, 16 inches wide at some point. You know.
Yeah, we had a huge load, 12 by 16, to just monster timbers. We ended up doing, was it 13.5, 14-inch wide flooring out of those. So I mean, this is
that 23 foot long?
Yeah.
So we did a 23 foot long, 14-inch wide, 23 foot long flooring job.
Each piece was 150 pounds.
Yeah.
Per floorboard. Putting them up on the second floor,
and
going
green
into
polish.
the house.
So I got to go back and wax his floors again. He just called me back for his maintenance coat. But yeah, 23 foot long in his master bedroom, and it did not go wall to wall. It was just like in the center of his bedroom, you know. Anthony passing it through up to the loft and
dragging it up,
pulling it out. It was a monster floor job. As soon as he saw the timber, he said, "I'll take those." Didn't ask how much. He said, "I'll take those." How many square feet are in it?
Yeah.
What do we have? 650?
Yeah, it was about
1,000?
Right about 1,000 feet or so, give or take. So.
Yeah, so we had a master bedroom that was well more than that, but very cool.
So once it leaves the resaw, then the next most important part happens. It'll get stacked here. This has already been kiln dried, but it'll get stacked in sticker just like the pile behind us here. Then it goes into the kiln. That's where we bring the moisture content down to single digits. I shoot for like between 5 and 8. And then it's ready for flooring or interior application. So it goes in week and a half, give or take, is kind of the average, depending upon what the moisture content is prior. And then,
Even though it's barn wood,
yeah,
it's not only for moisture, it's for insects.
it's for insects as well. We sterilize it. It goes
Yeah.
160 degrees for 36 hours. So we're making sure that it's
Right.
we're
not-
doing the best that we can possibly do to make
Right.
sure that there's nothing else happening.
Right,
So-
that's the key to kiln drying is moisture content and making sure that the critters are no longer with us.
I mean, if you took one of those beams outside, you can count a couple thousand powder post beetles. You know, all the holes on the actual face of the beam. They're kind of like the most scary bug to me. Even though they'll wreck the actual structural integrity of the wood, the larvae can lie dormant for 20 years. So we want to make sure that those aren't coming to life 20 years from now. So that is, on my end, that's the most important part. Making sure that we're able to provide a product to the customer that they're not going to be caught looking for us in 10 years and saying, hey, what the f is going on now? I got little, got little dust balls on the floor. So
Right, my plate, it's got dust dropping on it, what happened, so it is, the key is to make sure that there's no bug infestation, so.
then it comes out, then it'll end up pretty much after the kiln, it'll get dropped right here, it goes to the straight line rip, and then we size it down. So it's just a automatic feed to Madison 404. It's just a table saw on steroids pretty much. So
Right, it allows us to get 2 straight edges, square edges. We call them glued up edges, right?
Yeah, glue edge.
Right?
depending upon the blade, we can just rip them and it's ready to be glued. Like for this whole job here, it's all gonna finish out at 4 1/8 for the final width. If we're doing, let's say, material for stock or a custom order that is just gonna be random widths, then we'll go piece by piece. So we wanna make sure we maximize our yield. So let's say this particular piece, we'll be able to get let's say this was for random, we could get a 4 1/2 inch wide out of this, we could do 5 1/2 out of this one, so it's gonna be piece by piece. So it's not just run them, we wanna minimize the amount of scrap wood that goes in a dumpster.
More labor intensive to do
100%.
random, but, so you're getting one straight edge, making a pile with one straight edge,
Yep.
and then you're going random.
And then, well, like for this particular one, these are all ripped on one edge already. So then, once the rest of the pile goes through, we'll set it, we'll set our fence to 4 1/8. Being that we already have our square edge, we'll run everything else through, and then it's ready for shipment.
You do it with 2 guys, one feeding and
guys.
one pulling?
Yeah. Yeah, it's automatic feed, so it's just minimal. The big thing, anybody who's operated a straight line rip knows that, I mean, with any table saw, the kickback could be, very, very
We have a
bad.
Kevlar vest right there to your left that kind of protects you from any of the,
It's like the catcher's mitt. So the big thing on the far side, one board on the hand, one
I
board
want to
on...
make sure everybody got the catcher's mitt.
Yeah, the catcher's mitt.
That's funny.
Hopefully you're not catching one in your
So you have all this machinery. Who's the mechanic?
Anthony.
I would be myself.
So it takes a lot. You have to true these machines up on a regular basis.
Regular basis. I mean, this blade gets changed depending upon what material we're running. Try to do it every week, every other week. If we're doing a lot of white pine or something like that, we can definitely go 2 weeks. As long as we don't hit any metal or anything like that, any sort of rocks that are crammed in the wood. But they get greased regularly. They all have their schedule. That's the most important part. Without the maintenance, you're not making anything. So
Big machines. What, do you know the year, the dates when these were manufactured?
this is a 64. This is a 42. So this is an old S970 dual surfacer here. So got a 60 horse for the top motor, 30 for the bottom head. It'll take off a 1/2 inch between both sides without even blinking an eye on a 30-inch wide piece. So it's hungry. It's far the furthest thing from trying to take a 1/6 of an inch off. You know what I mean? This machine does not want to do anything light. It's a workhorse. But I mean, this was able to double our production. Prior, we had a little baker. It was a 10, awesome machine, helical head, carbide knives, but it was a 10-horse 3-phase. So we're passing boards.
And it had
through.
belts.
Yeah.
And the belts you can hear squealing. Here you got gears. They're not squealing. They are just straight out workhorse.
So I mean, that was a great machine. It got us to the point that we were able to afford making the investment, and getting this up here. I mean, the machine in of itself was a huge cost. Then trucking to get it here, and then we have a huge planer. So now we need to up the dust collection. We had a 4,400 CFM dust collector originally. Now we got 16,000 CFM. So, this machine here requires 3,500 CFM in and of itself, just for one machine. The molder, 5,000 CFM. It's got 6 ports on there. So you need a lot of power. You know, in the beginning, we would actually shut the blast gates. You know, if we're running a resaw, you know, we'll shut the blast gate for the straight line rip running around. Just trying to get the most power out of everything. But you know,
That's how we had to grow. We had to start with something from the beginning. Nothing to more advanced and heavier duty. You can't buy everything up in the front row.
no,
You know,
constant reinvestment. You know,
this
we work hard, but
right. You know,
the machines work just as hard. So we gotta spend the money on the right tools for the job. So.
this rustic looking piece of rough timber to this beautiful looking inside of this heart pine. Awesome. Rusting bolt hole or whatever that was. The character in here, the tight grain, small knots, couple 100-year-old piece of wood.
Does this part ever get old?
Never gets.
Oh man.
This is the best part. This is the most exciting machine that we got.
This is the candy machine right here. You're popping out beautiful candy. You're like,
the can
wow.
opener.
Yeah, this is something that's...
It's the can opener.
It is. It's just amazing. Look at that.
This is where you can find
Look at that grain.
Oh yeah.
This is it. This is a tight
You know, I mean, the guys
vertical
were doing
grain.
exactly this.
We're going to make, most of the time we do vertical grain heart pine floors to match old historical floors. And then sometimes we'll go to the plain sawn where it has the wider grain for the open. But majority of our floors here in the Northeast is mostly vertical grain heart pine. And when people want to get that old floor restored, we're one of the places here that can actually make and duplicate your old floor for patches. So the color matches, the grain matches. It's not even like a patch job. It just comes out like it was originally there. But you're using the old material. Can't go wrong with that.
Beautiful.
That's why we make a lot of floors for people. And man, people are like, that's a lot of money. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna match your floor. And then when we do, they're like, oh man, that's over the top. All right, we got this job coming up, right?
Yeah.
He's crying because he needs it right away, but
Takes time. You know,
right.
I mean, like we were saying, it's a 2.5 inch. The old vertical grain. We got a ripping edge here. Got a nice square cut. Got to cut a 3-inch blank because our molder takes off a 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch. I mean, we can kind of fine tune it or 3/8 and an 1/8, but we got to go a 1/2 inch wider from what we're looking to net out at, so that they can get their 2.5 or 2 1/4, whatever it is, vertical grain pine. You know, obviously, so we can get one 3-inch piece here, one 3-inch piece here. We can't get all vertical grain out of the center. It's plain sawn. So that's where there's a lot of selection involved with that, you know, a restoration job like that.
right. But when people call us and say, "Hey, I want it to look original," they say, "What kind of grain?" And they say, "I need the." We tell them to send a picture before they try to tell us, and then we tell them exactly what they're getting. They're like, "Oh, all right," you know. But it's a lot easier. We see the picture, and then we give them the product that they're looking for. Then there's no touch up, no fixing it again.
Yep.
This timber here was the outside boarding of this house. They were up to 18 inches wide, 17 foot long, white oak, and this was the
That was the
outside.
sheathing.
That was the vertical sheathing in this house. And instead of waiting for the semi to bring it home, I put it on my trailer and brought it home myself. This was like our gold mine find. The house was a lot of hickory in the house, right? A lot of 2x4s.
Yep.
It was in the middle of July, but this was the outside sheathing. We have a picture of the entire house with it up and us dismantling it, but this was the outside sheathing for the frame of their house, and it was all hand hewn on the inside. It was awesome.
Always in the middle.
So this
I'm
is,
gonna stand up.
There you go.
Let's do the old, let's,
There you go. Now we got it.
there you go.
Now we got
So
it.
this
Where
is the
are
gang's
we?
all here.
Where
We're
are we?
here at
Real
Real
Antique
Antique Wood.
Wood.
Come and visit us.
Yes.
say it without me saying it though. Because what happened, I stepped
I
on
got
you.
you. That's
I said, where are we?
Yeah,
And
we
when I
said-
was talking, you guys,
Okay.
all right.
We're at Real Antique Wood.
Come and visit us.
Check us out
Love
for
to
all
see
your
you.
reclaimed wood needs.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Well, probably one of my favorite things about making YouTube videos is getting to meet great people like them and see cool places and learn new things and get inspired to make new projects. I'm definitely thinking about that white oak that Gary was holding up at the end. I just think it'd be so great to build some kind of maybe a small entrance table or something with those white oak boards that came from a house or a barn that's more than 200 years old or 150 years old. I just think that's kind of special. So if you live in the area, you definitely have to check that place out. It's very inspiring. Also, I was on their podcast called The Morning Mill. They have a YouTube channel, so I'll have a link in the description to that. Definitely check it out and subscribe and hit that notification bell. And on the Morning Mill podcast, it was basically a Q&A I did and answered all kinds of questions, everything from how I got into woodworking, how I got into making videos, where do I see the direction of the channel going, things like that. It's about a 20-minute video, and I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and Tom was a great host. And also I wanted to mention that there is going to be a second part to this video that just focuses on the showroom. So everything they do out in the mill, some of that comes into the showroom, and you can see the boards where they've already been through the mill. You can also see some of the artifacts that they get out of the barn. Really cool, just a really cool place, and Gary takes me on about a 20-minute tour and shows me all the different things that they have in the showroom. So that video will be coming up probably in 3 or 4 days. I'm still working on the editing there, but definitely a cool place, a very inspiring place. So check them out on their website, go visit them, check out their Instagram and their YouTube. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
What time do you guys start and close?
So, I mean, Gary and myself, we're here 6:15, 20 after 6. We're usually packing up 5:30, 5:45, give or take.
Right.
The guys in the shop, 7 to 3:30. They're all phenomenal guys,
Right.
you know. So, you know,
It's a never-ending work here. You know, when people say, where's the job security? It's pulling nails. We have a full yard of job security.
Yeah.
You never have to worry, what are you going to do today? You can pull nails all day.
If you can't find something to sweep, clean, or anything else to do inside,
Pull
go
nails.
That's it. That's simple.